I request anyone who is having their microphone on to please mute it. Okay, fine. So this is your, then we have done what is normalized electric field intensity is the given electric field intensity to the maximum electric field intensity. Then at half point direction, you have to equate that electric field to 1 upon root 2. If it is power, you equate to 1 upon 2 because power is nothing but your normalized power P of n will be nothing but E of n square. If it is normalized, no division by half or root 2. It is just En square. So if you are equating En, always equal to 1 upon root 2. Okay. So if E of n is given, so that will be equal to 1 upon root 2. So whatever you get theta, your theta HP will be double of that. So whatever you get theta, so theta angle, whatever you get, theta of HP will be twice that of theta because in two directions. Similarly, phi of HP is approximately equal to theta of HP. So with that, you can find the beam area, that is theta of HP into phi of HP. This is your approximate method. In your regular method, what you do? Double integration, theta varying from 0 to pi and your phi varying from 0 to 2 pi, power density as a function of theta comma phi, sin theta d theta d phi. This many steradians. This is your beam area calculation. This is once again I'm telling you, this is approximate method. This is your exact method. Okay. So then we have done okay. Then we have done a couple of lot of problems on directivity. So this is a particular component problem on directivity, which is a quite important problem from your examination point of view. The radial component of radiated power density, which is given. So in this case, power density is given. Then your radiation intensity is nothing but U of theta comma phi is nothing but R square power density theta comma phi. So that's why I multiplied with R square. Then your approximate directivity is also given as directivity. This is approximate directivity 2553 degrees into theta of, you can write as HP or EP, whichever you find convenient. So in the E plane and H plane, I have written as EP and phi of HP. You can also write here theta of HP into phi of HP if it is creating confusion. Both are one and the same. So same thing I have done. Power is equal to square of this one. This is using approximate method and exact method we have calculated. So in exact method, I multiplied with R square and substituted in the power radiated formula. So what is power radiated? There are too many formulas which are similar to each other. So I request you to practice them before your test and examination. Clear? Because your sigma of A also you will do double integration, power radiated also you will do double integration. So whenever you go for exact method, double integration. Whenever you go for approximate method, theta of HP into phi of HP, as simple as that. So theta varying from 0 to pi, phi varying from 0 to pi, R square power density is nothing but, this is nothing but your radiation intensity. This is your radiation intensity into sin theta d theta d phi. If you do not write your radiation intensity, if you are writing as power density, then you will get double integration d theta comma phi into R square sin theta d theta d phi. This is what you will write for your power radiated. Whereas your omega A, that is your area, what you will do, the only difference will be PD theta comma phi. Instead of R square, you will get R sin theta d theta d phi. So this is the only difference. I am just telling you here. So theta varying from 0 to pi, here R square is not coming. Can you see? Sin theta d phi. So this is the major difference between the beam solid angle. So here R square will come when you are doing for power radiated. If it is not power radiated, So nothing will come. Sorry. So even this R is not there. So this is not there. So here R square will come. Here R is not there for your beam area. Remember, is it clear for all? Is it
Yes,
clear?
sir.
Difference between beam area and power radiated. So this R square will come here. This won't come here. R square into power density is radiation intensity. In case of your beam area, it won't come. Okay. So that one we have done. We have done all that and we have converted into dp 1.76 dB. If you are doing an approximate method, you are getting 7 decibels. Okay. Okay. Prove that directivity of source. Then this also we have one directivity problem we have done. Okay. Then this is also one more directivity problem. All these directivity problems I have done on one day. Then relationship between directivity of antenna and the beam solid angle. So directivity is given by directivity is equal to 4 pi divided by sigma A, where sigma A is your beam solid angle and your sigma A can be written as theta of HP into pi of HP. You can write this as HP or EP as you feel appropriate. Okay, that is just a notation, so don't get panicked what it is. So this is how you get this relationship 4 pi into 57.2593. So this will be your directivity will be your 41.253 square degrees divided by theta HP into pi of HP. So we have done problems on that. Then we have done what is antenna beam efficiency. So antenna beam efficiency is given by main beam area divided by total beam area minor beam area divided by total area. So this is your major area. This is your minor beam area. This is your minor beam area. This is your major beam area. Then we have found the normalized field pattern of the antenna is given by this. Find the exact directivity, approximate directivity. So we have done first using the exact method. So power is nothing but En square that we have found. So your exact directivity will be what? Sigma A, that is your double integration power density as a function of theta comma phi into sin theta d theta d phi. Please remember, this is your exact method for finding your beam area. If you are finding power radiated, what you will do? What is the difference in the formula? What will come here?
R square.
Exactly. Sin theta d theta d phi. This whole thing is your radiation intensity u of theta comma phi. After you find the power radiated, how do you find the directivity? 4 pi. So directivity, how do you find? 4 pi into maximum radiation intensity divided by power radiated. This is how you find the directivity after you find the power radiated. Then you can also find the directivity using directivity is equal to 4 pi divided by sigma A, or this can also be written as 4 pi um divided by power radiated. Okay, so these are the various formulas for your directivity. So so many things you have to use based on the data given by the problem. And always remember, normalized power is equal to square of the field, En square. Okay, all this you have to remember. So all this I'm trying to tell you in one go. Are you understanding? With respect to problems, I'm telling you. Revision. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
All of you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So in your half power point direction, your En will be equal to 1 upon root 2. And whenever you are equating power, that will be equal to 1 upon root 2 square. So that will be equal to half. So please remember that. So that's what we have substituted here. Then we have done all this integration business and you have found directivity as 7.78 dB in the exact method. Then using approximate method, that is for 41 into 253 square degrees theta of HP. I have equated field as equal to 1 upon root 2. So En is given as sin theta sin phi. So that 1 upon root 2 I can write as 1 upon root 2 raised to the power of 1 upon root 2 raised to the power of. So sin theta I will equate to this, sin phi I will equate to this. Anyway, theta and phi you will get this. So theta of HP will be 2 times theta and phi of HP will be 2 times phi. So your directivity will be this much. So using exact and approximate method, we have found directivity, and you have found the difference between them. So similar problem I have done here. So the radiation intensity is given by this, and then find the directivity. So here we have done the power radiated. Then power radiated into 4 pi divided by 4 pi into um divided by power radiated, you will find the directivity. So same thing we have done here. So using the approximate method, you will En is equal to 1 upon root 2, the power normalize this. So all these formulas I have written here. That's all. Then we have done 2 derivations here for your effective aperture or the effective area of the antenna. So your effective aperture or the effective area of the antenna is nothing but your power received divided by average power density of the antenna. Average power density of the antenna. So for that we have done for a short dipole and lambda by 2 dipole. For a short dipole, you find the electric resistance like this, electric circuit like this. Use the maximum power transfer theorem. Then find the value of PR. Then find the PR divided by average power. Average power is nothing but half of E square average power. E average is will always be equal to half of E square by Z0, where Z0 is the intrinsic impedance of the free space. With that, you find a equation for the maximum effective aperture of the antenna. For a short dipole, you have to remember that the radiation resistance is nothing but 80 pi square DL square by lambda square. So that one you have to substitute. This is in case of short dipole only. Is your radiation resistance. So after you find for short dipole, you have to prove that maximum effective aperture of a short dipole is 0.119 lambda square. Then for effective aperture of a lambda by 2 dipole, next we have done. For that, you have taken an equivalent circuit, integrate that, find the effective voltage of that this one, then find again maximum effective aperture. Then in this case, substitute radiation resistance is equal to 73 ohms. Substitute radiation resistance is equal to 73 ohms. Then find the maximum effective aperture of the antenna. So this is what we have done. Then we have come to Friis transmission formula. So this is the whole story of what we have done on antenna module 3 so far. So more or less we are finishing the everything. So some small portions are left. So mainly you will get problems on directivity, beam area, in beam area exact method, approximate method. Directivity also you can find using exact method or approximate method. Similarly, you can also find the beam area using the exact method or the approximate method. I hope it is clear for everyone. Anything you want to ask? Anything you want to ask?
No, sir.
Okay. Any doubts so far?
No doubt, sir.
Anyone want to clarify on anything before we go forward? They have uploaded all the videos on the YouTube. So anybody having any doubts can go through this YouTube videos. I'm also uploading the notes, whichever I'm writing on the OneNote recently from last 2-3 classes. You might have observed that in your Google Classroom. Please go through that. See, this entire antenna is totally mathematical insofar as your entire microwave antenna. So you have to be good in mathematics. If you are not good, practice. If you are practicing, nobody can stop you from getting S grade in this. At least in my antenna portion, which I am taking for 100 marks, you will get 60 marks, you will get 55 out of 60, that I can guarantee you. Similarly, I think Wing Commander Srinivas Rao will also guarantee at least 35 out of 40 from his side. so that you can get as high marks as possible. Any problem you have under the sun, please do not hesitate to ask me.
Excuse
Okay.
me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, 18th September class, last problem. Can you go, sir?
Who is this?
Purnachandra, sir.
18 September. Which one? This one?
Yes, sir. That limit,
Huh?
sir. You have taken wrong. It's
Where?
here, sir.
Here.
Theta, yes, sir. Theta varies from 0 to pi, no, sir.
Hmm. Here, the question itself is given as theta varying from 0 to pi by 2. Therefore, I have taken like that.
Not that one, sir. Sine square theta. Question.
This question, right?
No, sir. Not this.
Sine square theta.
Yes, sir. In
Ah.
this, you have taken theta 0 to 2 pi, sir. It's only 0 to pi, no, sir. 5 varies from
Okay.
0 to 2 pi.
No. Wait. That's a very good question. So let me do one small clarification. For a dog nut, source, theta is taken from 0 to 2 pi. Means it is two sides. So this limits you have to apply if at all they ask for a sine square dog nut power source. Power part. Theta from 0 to 2 pi. Otherwise, you won't get the desired results. So use this. Usually, you take theta varying from 0 to pi, phi varying from 0 to 2 pi. In case of dog nut source, you have to interchange these limits: theta varying from 0 to pi and phi varying from 0 to pi.
Sir, if we take that limits, we won't get answer, sir. Proper answer. The answer we have written here, sir.
Sir, if we take that limits, we'll get directivity as infinity.
Infinity, sir.
Okay. Then I might have done a small mistake. Then you make theta from 0 to pi and phi varying from 0 to 2 pi. Do you get?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then do that change. Okay, thanks. So by default, you take that. Okay, can we go ahead with the class?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear for you now? Purva Chandra Prakash, can we go ahead? Where are you? Is it clear? Shall we go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please write down a radio link. From the moon to the earth as a moon based pi lambda. This is pi, okay? Pi lambda long right handed monopolar axial mode helical antenna and a 2-watt transmitter operating at 1.5 gigahertz what should be the effective aperture for effective aperture for the based antenna in order to derive 10 minus 14 watts to the receiver. Earth to moon distance is 1.27 light seconds. Okay, I'll repeat the question. A radio link from the moon to the earth has a moon-based 5 lambda long right-handed monofilar axial mode helical antenna and a 2-watt transmitter operating at 1.5 gigahertz. What should be the effective aperture for the earth-based antenna in order to derive 10 power minus 14 watts to the receiver? Earth to moon distance is 1.27 light seconds. 1.27 light seconds. So again, you have to use the this transmission formula to do this. So Purva Chandra Prakash, tell me what I should do first. Tell me what are the data given.
Lambda, sir.
Lambda is given. What is lambda? How I should find? Assume you are in exam. Do this problem. Tell me. How will you start? Read the question once again. A radio link from the moon to the earth has a moon-based 5 lambda long right-handed monofilar axial mode helical antenna and a 2-watt transmitter operating at 1.5 gigahertz. What should be the effective aperture of the earth-based antenna in order to receive? This is not derive. In order to, okay, derive means anyway, this is receive 10 power minus 14 watts to the receiver. Earth to moon distance is 1.27 light seconds.
D, sir. This 1.27 is D, sir. Distance. And we have a frequency of 1.5 gigahertz.
So how do I find the wavelength now? Tell me first. First one by one we'll do. Lambda is equal to C by F. So what is C? Speed of light. Speed of light, no?
3 into 10.
Divided by frequency, that is 1.5 gigahertz. So this will be 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second divided by 1.5 into 10 power. What is giga?
9.
9. Find out this. Bina, tell me the answer quickly.
0.2.
0.2 what? Unit. Wavelength unit. Meter. If you don't write meter, I will give you one big anda here 0. Okay, in the exam. Wavelength unit meter. Okay. Okay. Now what you have to find? What should be effective aperture of the earth-based antenna? Okay. Now, what is the distance, Ba? Anyone? What is the distance?
1.27 light seconds.
1.27 light seconds. So what is this meaning? What should be the distance in? What is the unit of distance?
Meters.
Meters.
How do I convert this to meters? Purva Chandra Prakash, you have any idea?
Sir, I just got disconnected, sir. I join now.
Okay. No, you get disconnected,
Sir, we
no
can
problem.
multiply by the velocity of light.
Good. So what I have to do is 1.27. What is the velocity of light? Okay, see, light seconds. See, this unit is in seconds into velocity of light, 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second. So what happens? Second will get cancelled. You will get in meters. Find out this value. This is your distance in meters.
Three 3.81 into 10 power 8 meters is the
Three?
distance.
3.81.
0.81.
3.81.
Yes, sir.
8 meters. This is your distance d. So what is your Friis transmission formula? Power received is equal to power transmitted into effective aperture of the transmitting antenna into effective aperture of the receiving antenna divided by d square lambda square. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what is given? Now, what is the transmitted power P of T?
2 watts.
What is PT?
2 watts.
Very good. PT is equal to 2 watts. Okay. Your wavelength you found lambda is equal to 0.2 meters. Your distance we found 3.81 into 10 power 8 meters. Okay. So now what we have to find the question?
We have to find the aperture of the effective aperture of the transmitted transmitters.
Who is this question? Radio link file, this one. What is the effective aperture of the earth-based antenna? So there is an antenna in the moon which is a 5 lambda long right-handed monofilar axial more helical antenna, and a 2 watt transmitter is there operating at 1.5 gigahertz. What should be the effective aperture for the earth-based antenna? So what is earth-based antenna? Transmitting or receiving?
Transmitting.
Who is this?
Saurabh.
No, which is transmitting here? Please read the question.
Sir, it says drive of the earth effective aperture of the earth-based antenna to drive 10 per minus 14 watt to the receiver. So
see, that English is little confusing. So read the first statement. Radio link from the moon to the earth. Link is from where?
okay, so from moon to the earth. So that means I think moon should be the transmitting.
Long helical antenna with a 2 watt transmitter. So what is 2 watt transmitter means?
The power of the PT.
That
That is
power of the transmitter. This is the power of the transmitter. Transmitting antenna. This is your transmitting antenna. You got my point?
yes, sir. So
So
moon
this is the transmitting antenna is power of the transmitted antenna is 2 watts. Okay. So what is your length of the antenna is 5 lambda. That you don't worry now, because this data is insignificant for us to do the problem. So this is not relevant for us to do the problem. So what is your power of the receiving antenna? What is the power received?
10 power minus 14
Watts.
watt.
So your power received also, you know. What is your power received? 10 power minus.
Minus 14 watt.
Very good. All of you are understanding. So what is we have to find here? Bina, what we have to find? What is the unknown here?
Effective
The
aperture.
effective
Of what?
transmit antenna.
Purva Chandra Prakash, tell me what is to be found now?
Effective aperture of a receiver.
Which one in this equation?
AER.
What R or P?
R, sir.
AER is unknown. So what is AET? This is your moon side transmitter. So how do you find the effective aperture of the moon side? This one.
GT is equals to 4 pi AET by lambda square.
Okay. In terms of AET, how you have to write now? Something.
Lambda square by 4 pi dt. Sir.
You are getting so confused. Okay. See. Go back to your Fritz transmission formula. Now, what is AET now from this? AET is equal to gain of the transmitting antenna into lambda square divided by 4 pi, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Purva Chandra Prakash, is it fine?
Yes, sir.
This is this gain, or you are nothing but your directivity. This will be a maximum gain. If you are doing here maximum, this will be a maximum. So if you are AET maximum, if you have to put, so this will be GT maximum into lambda square divided by 4 pi. So your GT maximum is nothing but directivity lambda square divided by 4 pi. You got my point? Now, how do we find this? This will be directivity lambda square by 4 pi. Okay. Now something is missing here. What is it missing?
Directivity.
So what do we do? Anyone? Okay, assume you have to assume some directivity now. Usually, directivity of a 5 lambda long monopore axial antenna, you assume directivity as 60. Substitute 60. Now, this is assumption. This should be given in the problem. This is a missing data. So, if it is missing, if you are assuming any other directivity also, you should be getting marks. Assume directivity as 60. Substitute that. Find the effective aperture of the transmitting antenna. After you find the effective aperture of the transmitting antenna, find the effective aperture of your receiving antenna. So your receiving antenna will be what? So find the directivity, substitute here, find the effective aperture of the transmitting antenna. How much you get, ma? Lambda is 0.2. Tell me how much you get effective aperture of the transmitting antenna. Can you substitute and tell me?
0.19. Sir.
0.19.
19.
How much? This will be unit is meter square. Okay. Now we did this one derivation of 0.119, one derivation we did. You are also getting the same effective aperture. For what we did derivation? We remember this here. 0.119 lambda square we did derivation. This also you are getting 0.19. So your effective aperture should be in this region. Please remember that. So that's why we have assumed directivity as 60 here. Somebody has done this problem. That's why I'm doing. Okay. Now what is left to find? What is your AER? So what is your effective aperture of the receiving antenna? How do I find? Rearrange this equation.
Using the above
So that,
formula.
yeah, power radiated into E square lambda square divided by what will come in the numerator? Effective aperture of the transmitting antenna. Effective aperture of the transmitting antenna AET into what? Power of the transmitted antenna. ET. So what you get here now? What is your power radiated? Sorry, power transmitted. What is your power radiated? 10 power received. Sorry, that is power received. What is power received? 10 power minus.
Minus 14 watt.
So P of R is 10 power minus 14. I have written it already here. So what you will get is here 10 power minus 14 into what is the 3.81. This is into 3.81 into 10 power 8 this one square into lambda square is 0.2 square into your effective aperture of your transmitting antenna is how much? 0.19, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Into power transmitted is 2. Find the effective aperture of the receiving antenna. And what will be the unit? What will be the unit?
Meter square. Meter square.
Okay, what is the value, Ma, finally?
152.80.
152.80 meters square.
1?
52.
80.
80
Ah, ah.
meter square.
Okay. Can you analyze what we have done? Okay, see, what is this problem is, this is your moon, this is your earth. Please excuse my diagram. Okay, you have a transmitter in moon. This is a 5 lambda monopolar dipole antenna with directivity D is equal to 60. This they should have given in the problem. So anyway, I'm telling you now, this is you have a earth-based receiver here. This receiver is getting 10 power minus 14 watts. This transmitted power transmitted is equal to your 2 watts. This is your distance between your moon to earth is 1.27 light seconds. That means light takes 1.27 seconds to travel from moon to earth. Is it clear? 1.27 light seconds. Clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So distance D, how do you calculate 1.8 seconds that I'm multiplying into speed of light, that is 3.8 into 10 power 8 meters per second. So this you are getting as 3.81 into 10 power 8 meters. This is what is the distance you are getting. Okay, this is your moon based receiver, this is your power received, this is your transmitted power. Okay, so first we are finding the effective aperture of this antenna, moon based antenna. Effective aperture area of your transmitting antenna, that is the width of your transmitting antenna. So your effective aperture of your transmitting antenna, if we found this, you are getting as 0.19 meter square. Because in moon you can't keep a very big transmitter. Can I transport a big transmitter to moon with a very big area? Is it possible?
No, sir.
So in the in Earth I can make as big a receiver as possible. So although you are getting a very small signal, 2 watts of signal is transmitted over a distance of this much distance. So your receiving antenna, your effective area should be as large as possible, because you are getting such a small signal. So your effective area of the receiving antenna is 150 meter square, means that much big area you need in the earth to send the receiving station. That is why in your NASA and all you get a huge reflector antennas here in the in the earth-based receiver. You will have huge reflector antennas, and all these reflector antennas will be connected in one grid, so that this entire reflector antenna will effectively act as one antenna. That is what we will read in the next module, now 4th module. In order to receive some extraterrestrial signal from the space, so you have moon. This is moon is one small antenna you have kept here, so that is sending one signal here. After such a long distance, you need such a big antenna here, 150 meter square, to receive it. Otherwise, you have one particular antenna like this, or 3 antennas or 4 antennas like this, which are connected in a grid. So all this will act as a one antenna here. So that effective area will be higher than this. This is how you take the intra-terrestrial signals you try to catch. They'll be very feeble, they'll be extremely feeble, and you have to catch them, means you have to have a very big effective area of the antenna, because at the transmitting end in the moon I can't install such a big antenna. Is it possible? Is it possible?
No, sir.
So any doubts on this problem? Anything you want to ask about moon and earth? Anyone? Anyone?
Sir, the directivity, how did you take that 60, sir? Can you explain me again? Sir, you take that.
Huh? 60 is just an assumption. See, this is a 5 lambda monofilament dipole antenna. So in general, 5 lambda monofilament dipole antenna will have a directivity around 60. So that you will come to know when you are doing problems in the next thing. That's why we assume that should have been given in the problem. So in case I give this problem in your internal test, I will mention what is the directivity of your transmitting antenna, so that that confusion is not there.
Thank you, sir.
That should have been given in the question. Anyone else? Yes, Puru Chandra Prakash, tell me anything you want to ask?
No, sir.
Now add some value addition to the discussion, no, from your point of view. Something about moon and earth you talk.
I don't know, sir.
Okay. Anybody wants to join ISRO here? Anyone wants to join ISRO?
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, ma. Tell me.
Sir, the gravitational pull of the Earth, does it affect the satellites and the waves, like the transmitting waves?
I didn't get you. What? Come again.
The gravitational pull of the Earth.
No. It has nothing to do with your EM signal. Gravitational pull has nothing to do with your EM signal. But you have what is known as a cosmic rays. Cosmic rays will come from your asteroid and other extraterrestrial thing. So that will impede your signal to a great extent. That's why you will get more noise than the signal in the Earth. That is why you have International Space Station stationed above the Earth, so that you can receive a better quality of the signal. So from there again the signal will be transmitted back to Earth. So you will receive a signal in your International Space Station that can be transmitted back to Earth, something like a Hubble Space Telescope. So you can have now they can put telescopes right in the space, like that is what they are planning now. So your receiving antenna will be in the space some 100 kilometers above the Earth. Receive the signal, transmit to Earth. That will be a better option rather than keeping the antennas on the Earth. But this is very expensive process, and it has billions of dollars of investment. So US NASA has that in the mind. So now what happens is your Chandrayaan rover which we sent, the signal which is sent, that will be a 0.19 meter square effective area there of the transmitting antenna. So your receiving antenna area will be minimum 150 meter square. That is what we have in your Sriharikota launch facility. If you see the receiving antenna there, then if you can't go to Sriharikota, if you go to this master control MC Hassan, they have this huge transmitting and receiving antenna. Then also you have in your Peony, you have one receiving antenna where you have a big parabolic dish reflector to receive these extraterrestrial signals. So suppose you send some manned mission to Mars, you just imagine the antenna size we have to have in the Earth. Okay. Anyone else? I hope it is interesting for you. Please ask me some questions. Okay, I'll come back to the questions. Let us do one more problem. Mina, understood?
Yes, sir.
Shall we do one more problem?
Yes, sir.
Write down what is the maximum power received at a distance of 0.5 kilometers over a free space one gigahertz circuit consisting of a transmitting antenna with 20 dB gain okay 20 dB gain. This gain is with respect to lossless isotropic antenna the transmitting antenna input, the transmitting transmitting antenna input is 150 watts. Is 150 watts. So everything is given. Your distance here D is 0.5 kilometers. So this will be 0.5 into 1000 meters. That will be 500 meters. Okay, then your frequency is 1 gigahertz. So frequency is 1 gigahertz. Find the lambda C by F. Okay, then gain is 25 dB. Your gain of the transmitting antenna is 25 dB. Convert, use the inverse log and convert back. So how much you get? In numerical value? 360.
316.
Sir,
very good.
gain of transmitter is 25, sir.
Huh?
Gain of transmitter is 25.
25 only. G of T is 25.
We did that problem, sir. Then
Oh, already you have done this problem. Okay, okay.
first problem, sir.
Sorry. Okay, this we have done. Please write down this problem. Two spacecrafts are separated by a distance of 100 million meters. 100 million meters. Each antenna has a directivity of 1000, operating at 2.5 gigahertz. If spacecraft A receiver requires 20 dB over 1 picowatt, what transmitter power is required in spacecraft B to achieve this level, Two spacecraft are separated at a distance of 100 million meters. Each antenna has a directivity of 1000, operating at 2.5 gigahertz. If the spacecraft A receiver requires 20 dB over 1 picowatt, what transmitted power is required in spacecraft B to achieve this level? So this is the question. So you have two spacecraft here. This is your spacecraft A. This is your spacecraft B. Both are separated by a distance of 100 million meters. Okay, this is your one. You can okay. Both directivity is 1000. Okay, frequency is 2.5 gigahertz. Both are operating with the frequency of 2.5 gigahertz. So what is the wavelength? T by F. Now find out the wavelength.
Point 0.12 meter.
0.12 meters. Okay. What is the distance? What is the distance? Hundred million meters. So what is 100 million meters distance? 100 into
10 power 6.
10 power 6. This many meters. What is the transmitted power? A receiver requires 20 dB over 1 picowatt. Okay, transmitted power is not known. ET is not known. So which is the transmitter, which is the receiver now? The two spacecraft are each antenna has a directivity of 1000 operating at 2.5 gigahertz. The spacecraft A receives. Okay, now which is the receiver? What?
A.
Which is, huh?
Yeah.
Very good. So this is your power received. This is your power transmitted. So this PA receiver, he has not given directly. It is telling 20 dB over 1 picowatt. So what is the power transmitted? I don't know. So what is the power received is what we have to first find out. So 20 dB with respect to P reference. That is, your P reference is nothing but 1 picowatt. Okay, fine. First find the effective aperture of your receiving as well as transmitting antenna. Both will be same because directivity is given as same. That is equal to lambda square by 4 pi into directivity, right? This is how you find, right?
Yes, sir.
How much you get?
One point 1 meters square. 1.145 meters square, sir.
1.145 meter square. So this is your effective aperture. So this power received will be nothing but your P reference. 1 picowatt is 10 power minus 12, right? This is your 1 picowatt of power. 1 pico is 10 power minus 12. Correct? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Multiply by 10. This is power into decibels by 10. This is nothing but your log inverse. So power dB is 20. 20 by 10. This will be 10 power 10 into 2. So this will be 10 power minus 12 into 10 into power into dB is 20 dB divided by 10. So this will be 10 power minus 12. That is 1 picowatt into 10 power 2. So what will be the power received? 10 power minus 10 watts. Agreed? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So as per your Fritzsche transmission formula, power received is equal to power transmitted into effective aperture of the transmitting antenna into effective aperture of the receiving antenna divided by lambda square into distance square, d square. Now find the power transmitted. Find the power transmitted. This is your power received. So your power transmitted will be equal to your power received into lambda square into distance square divided by effective aperture of the transmitting antenna into effective aperture of the receiving antenna. So your power received is nothing but 10 into 10 power minus 10 into wavelength is what you have found, 0.1, right? 0.12. 0.12 square into distance is, what is the distance you have found? 100 into 10 power 6, 100 into 10 power 6 whole square divided by divided by 2 effective apertures. What is the effective aperture you have found? 145 into 1.145. So what is the power transmitted? Please find out.
$10,980 milliwatts, sir.
Milliwatts, sir.
Kilowatts, sir.
Kilowatts, sir. 10.96 kilowatts.
10.98 kilowatts, sir. I meant the other way.
No, milli is 10 power minus 3, right? In whatever English you tell.
Yeah, 10,980 watts.
So now what is the inference you draw? Power transmitted, this is how much power you are receiving? 10 power minus 10 watts. What is the power you are transmitting? 10.8 kilowatts, right?
Yes, sir.
So over this long distance, when the effective aperture of the both antenna is same, so you are transmitting this much power, but you are end up receiving such a small power. Actually, these are two spacecrafts which are separated. If they are Earth station, the effective apertures can also be different. In this case, he has given both directivities as same. Therefore, we have assumed both directivities as same and found out the effective aperture. Okay, now he has given here 20 dB over 1 picowatt. If he has given 10 dB over 1 picowatt, just multiply that. It will be 1 picowatt into 10 into 10 power in decibels divided by 10. So if you use this formula, you can find the power received. Okay, any doubts so far?
No, sir.
Okay, this ends your Fritz the transmission formula. So we have done that Fritz transmission formula also. Then we have some small portions like antenna field zones, antenna temperature, and your power theorem, and some definition. So these are the four minor what to say points available which is to be covered in your module 3. So I think in one class I'll be able to finish this module.